Democracy and free speech under siege. Tonight, Flagbearer of the new Patriotic Party lashes out at the NDC government over what he describes as unholy collaboration between the executive, state investigative agencies, and the judiciary to intimidate NPP members. It follows the remand of Bono Regional Chairman Abronye DC. Top story is brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide, Sprayer and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi. Democracy and free speech under siege. Tonight, the Flagbearer of the opposition NPP is lashing out at government as he condemns what he describes as the unholy collaboration between the executive, state investigative agencies, and some elements within the judiciary to intimidate and silence NPP members. His comments follows the remand of Bono Regional Chairman of the NPP, Kofi Bafo, probably known as Abronye DC, for 2 weeks as investigations continue into allegations of misinformation and offensive public statements. Aguna West constituency organizer David Isando was also arrested on Monday for allegedly criticizing President John Mahama. The outspoken politician was rearrested on Wednesday, just weeks after he had earlier been granted bail in connection with the same matter. We'll speak to the NPP shortly, but first, my colleague Gemma Appiah is joining me in studio with details of that statement released by former Vice President and NPP Flagbearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Gemma, what does it say?
So this statement is on the letterhead of Office of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Flagbearer, New Patriotic Party, issued today. It's titled Democracy and Free Speech Under Siege. He says he's observed with great concern the assault on the fundamental rights of officers, activists and supporters of the NPP across the country by the NDC government. He continues to say that the attacks, arrests, detentions and the bail conditions have been a persistent feature of the government since they took office last year, and he referenced the latest cases, one being David Isando, you mentioned earlier. He was arrested on Monday and released yesterday. The party held a press conference and stated or talked about their disagreement with his arrest. And today, we also know that NPP Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafo Abronye has also been remanded into custody. He referenced these two, and he says these actions undermine free speech and are setting Ghana's democracy backwards. Let me quote what he says here. I condemn in the strongest of terms the unholy collaboration between the executive, state investigative agencies, and some elements within the judiciary to use intimidation and harassment to silence members of the NPP, unquote. So he's serving notice to officers of the state who are inactive parts or who are active participants in this enterprise that the day of accountability will come. He's also encouraging all NPP members to stay firm by refusing to succumb to the intimidation while continuing their civic duty to hold the government accountable.
Gemma Appiah, thank you very much. Henry Nanabwache is the NPP's national organizer. He's joining me on the telephone lines right now for more on this. Henry, welcome. Yesterday, you held the press conference and spoke against what you described as a growing use of state security agencies to intimidate and silence members of the opposition. And just today, one of your own was rearrested and remanded into police custody for 2 weeks. How is the party receiving this news?
Thank you very much. Good evening. This is a worrying development, and this attempt and this culture introduced by this government to criminalize and suppress free speech is quite alarming. And I think that all must speak against this. Look, we have strength of cases where, for instance, the David Asando case, he only posted on his Facebook page a billboard with the image of the president with the inscription, Dumso is back. And he was arrested by 10 well-built men with sophisticated guns, masked, armed to the teeth. And David Estando was just whisked in a car. The family never knew where they were taking him to. And they drove all the way to Accra. In fact, the following day, we visited BNI. They said they have no idea. They have no knowledge of his arrest. We went to CID. In fact, the CID, we went to Cybercrime Unit. We went to Special Investigation Unit. They said they have no idea. And then we went to National Security. They also said they have no idea. Then we went to National Signals Bureau. Then just when they had also indicated that they have no idea, we received a call that he's been taken to BNI, so we should come there because they are preparing to interrogate him. I mean, where from this unfortunate introduction of these tactics to suppress free speech? Why is the president so pretending over such ill matter? I don't just get it. And we are going to rise up. Trust me, in the coming days, we are going to stage a mammoth demonstration. We are going to have series of activities. There are so many important matters, so many issues going on in this country, and then what you can just focus your attention to is to harass and politically intimidate your opponent. We can never be intimidated. Where from this?
Henry, are you?
If I read to you the charges of Abronye, which is a misdemeanor, in fact, if you read the particulars, I have the charge sheet with me here. The count one, offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace. You come to the particulars, it says that this is what Abronye is alleged to have said. You are not a judge, but rather a politician. You have covered your hair with a sack and claim you are a judge. Having tweeted from the NPP, labeling the judiciary as unanimous FC. In fact, I remember when after the 2020 presidential elections petition, the press conference by the then opposition leader, now the president, it was bizarre. It was attacks and insults directed at the judiciary. And this was the mantra. It became a campaign message from the NDC. On so many platforms, they labeled judges as NPP judges, NPP judges. And indeed, the president himself then, during the NDC lawyers conference, mentioned that he was going to overhaul the judiciary and that it is full of NPP lawyers, NPP judges. So what is different? How is that statement different from this? How is that statement different from this? And Abronye was arrested and he was granted bail. And today he went to court for these same charges. And he was, in fact, in court, the judge even said that Abronye should be remanded into prison custody until the determination of the matter. Meaning you have even convicted the person before trial. And there are some judges who are in cahoots with these political elements who intend to suppress free speech. A clear case of this animal farm judge, the Idi Amin judge, and also you recall the Judge Kunsun, who didn't even have any application before him for a remand, but yet he remanded Baba Mandu.
Henry, some will say that these accusations that you are making directly at the government is a non-starter because these are judges in their own independent rights, seeing that these people have gone against our laws and therefore have taken action against them. So many are wondering why you are dragging the government into this, really.
No, for instance, I don't know what is this about Court 9. Anytime you go to the police CID or they intend to process you for court, they say go to Court 9. In fact, it was this same Court 9 where the judge sat and said that, oh, even though in our laws we have all of us are supposed to be equal before the law, some are above the law. That judge, the Abronye judge, he said it. It's the same Court 9. And it was this same Court 9 which Judge Kunsun also delivered this ruling. He didn't have any application before him for remand. In fact, the prosecution did not even oppose to the bail application made. Yet, he said that, oh, the prosecution will still need Baba Amando for in custody, and then he was going to interfere with the investigation, and for that matter, he should be remanded. We went to High Court, and High Court overturned that ruling. I don't know that Court 9. It appears that there are certain judges who are doing the bidding of those who intend to suppress free speech and to use this repressive laws.
Henry, in 2022, for instance, Kwabena Bobiansa, who worked at Accra FM, then was arrested over comments he made on radio alleging that then First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo had appropriated state lands for her foundation. We also saw the likes of Mensa Thompson, who is the executive director of ASEPA, arrested in 2022 after alleging on Facebook that relatives of then President Akufo-Addo used the presidential jet for Christmas shopping in the UK. Captain Smart was arrested on several occasions. In 2022, also, a private citizen known as Salamatu Muhammad, who is a mother of 4, was arrested after a viral video in which she angrily criticized then President Akufo-Addo. There are a number of persons who were arrested during President Akufo-Addo's tenure. Are you saying that those judges who those police officers who issued those arrests and those judges who had their cases in court were also doing the bidding of the NPP back then?
You see, that is where you need to look at these matters case by case.
How different?
Let me tell you, because what? If somebody should post that Dumswa is back, is Dumswa not back? Is Dumswa not back? If somebody should post that, look, the president now says that LGBTQ is not a priority anymore. And for that matter, we should put it somewhere. And then a youth activist post on his face that it looks like the president now is promoting LGBTQ. Why should that person be arrested? Is that not the case? Did the president not say that that is no more a priority when they have actually earned electoral fortune out of this? They campaigned that they were going to sign the LGBTQ bill. So you see, don't lump. For instance, I also heard somebody even bringing in the case of Oliver. Oliver actually took the keys of the police vehicle and threw it away. So don't lump all the cases together. Look,
Henry.
When you say that the president's wife has taken state lands, he's stolen state lands, and then he's using that money for her own foundation. So please don't lump all of these statements together.
I'm not lumping. I am Henry. I'm not lumping them together. That is why.
That is you're trying to justify.
I'm not justifying anything. I'm just asking. I am just doing my job.
My brother, hold on.
I want you to hold on for me. I'm just doing my job of asking you the questions. You say that these judges appear to be doing the bidding of the NDC. That is why I cited examples of arrests during the tenure of President Akufo-Addo, and I asked you a simple question. Were those judges doing the bidding of the NPP then?
No, that is why I'm saying that you need to look at the case by you are making a mistake.
Okay.
You are lumping them. That is why I'm telling you that some judges, I am not saying all, I'm saying some judges appear to be doing the bidding of these elements in government who seek to suppress free speech. That is why I'm saying so. Look, I remember that during President Akufo-Addo's time, there was this gentleman, Samuel Hunto, who said that when the president travels and he travels on a private jet, the plane should crash and the person should die. He said it. Who arrested him? Who arrested him? Who arrested him? So please do not lump all of these cases together and justify this unfortunate arrest. No.
So I need clarity from you, Henry.
Adenta Kumi just posted on his Facebook page that he's seen. Hello, are you there?
I am. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. Adenta Kumi posted on his Facebook page that he's seen some judges who are having lunch with some of the lawyers representing, especially in the Gyasi Tokono matter. And at dawn, almost about 20 armed men arrested him. For what? Mohammed is a call. You recall at the time when our vice president said that she was not feeling well and that she wanted to take some leave and rest. And then this gentleman posted on his Facebook, "Rest well, Madam Vice President." And he was arrested and kept for 3 days. How do you lump all of these cases together? He was arrested when the vice president herself, she has issued a statement that she's taking a medical leave. And the gentleman just posted on his Facebook page, "Rest well, Madam Vice President." And he's picked up the national security and kept for 3 days.
Henry, I want you to hold on for me because I have a government spokesperson, Felix Kwachi, also joining the conversation this evening. Minister, grateful for your time this evening. Accusations are flying high, especially from the opposition NPP. This evening, their Flagbearer is accusing the NDC of intimidating members of the NPP by arresting them. What's government's response to that?
You should not have called me because you have actually answered the question by the questions that you posed on Anabi, over which he has puffed and puffed and delivered an incoherent, rambling answer. He is unable to answer you why the arrests and prosecutions that they carried out were justified, but the ones taking place now are not justified. It's also strange that the vice president would also presume to lecture governments on how to respect the rights of people to speak. Indeed, when you ask Nanabi about Bobie Ansah's case, what Bobie Ansah said at the time was that the first lady and the second lady, Bamia's wife, in some land. At the time, he said that there was a signboard of the Rebecca Foundation sited on that land that was being developed, which shows that it belonged to them. Yes, for saying that they arrested him and put him before court. And let me please that Dr. Bamia's wife came under such accusations, and the government that he was vice president in prosecuted Bobie Ansah. As I speak, the matter is still in court. So it is an exercise in duplicity for Dr. Bamia to presume that we have forgotten about that, and that today he can express outrage and condemnation about people who have been arrested for similar offenses. Why was it justified to put Bobie Ansah before court? And why is it not justified today to put anybody in the NPP before court? Number two, were members of the NDC and journalists who spoke against judges not imprisoned in the Muntie 3 case in this country? Did Nanabi and his colleagues in the NPP not praise it? So if NDC affiliated members, people, and journalists can be imprisoned because they attack judges, why can't the NPP people be taken to a court process for attacking judges? And in any event, these matters that we are discussing have nothing to do with government. In the case of a gentleman called David, he paged a billboard belonging to a company and altered the content to deliver a message that was false. So the owner of the billboard petitioned the police CID and complained about the abuse of his advertisement, which he had lawfully procured. So the police CID began to look into the matter of the National Signals Bureau to trace this gentleman, and they are taking him through due process. Abronye abused and attacked a judge and is being held to account the same way that the Muntie 3 were also put before court and imprisoned for attacking and abusing judges. So sometimes we need in this country to exhibit consistency and candor and principle. You cannot have been happy about the imprisonment and prosecution of the lives of Obi Ansah and complain that Abronye has been held by. In any event, that matter has nothing to do with the court. Abronye did not attack the president or any member of government. He attacked a judge. And the judge is taking action against him. So in what way do you draw government into this? So I examine all these matters. I look at the track record of the NPP, and I see that what they are doing is just an exercise in duplicity. It is not a display of commitment to upholding free speech, because they do not respect free speech. Look, under them, you know that Kwabena Aduboahene is standing trial. He and others arranged to kidnap the airport manager of Emirates because he refused to allow them to board the plane when he was director of the National Statistics Bureau. There's a gentleman called Bongo Ideas. He was also kidnapped for saying something about the former First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. For days, he was kept incommunicado. And I could go on and on. And you cited a litany of instances under Nana B's party, the NPP's government, in the recent past. So I think that we need to be fair to the facts and stop this huffing and puffing. As a matter of principle, President Mahama, myself, and the members of this government do not believe in arresting anybody for saying anything. Many of the cases that have happened have nothing to do with the president or members of government, as in the instant case. So this desperate attempt to rope in the government and create the impression of some suppression of free speech is not founded. It is bogus. In any event, it was only last week or the week before that government or Ghana climbed 13 places in the World Press Freedom Index. It means that Ghanaian journalists and critics and analysts are free to voice concern about government's handling of the affairs of the state. They criticize us all the time. Members of the NPP criticize this government on a daily basis and nothing happens to them. So the matters must be put, and the record of those singing this tune will be examined. If you examine that record, they don't believe me. They are saying to
Minister, you did say that the NPP Flagbearer Mahmoud Bawumia kept quiet when some of these arrests were happening under former President Akufo-Addo, and has now found his voice to criticize the arrests happening under President John Mahama. Is that to say that what is happening now is a tit for tat?
But you see, they say that it must come with clean hands. In this particular instance, this is somebody who wants to become president. He is a flag bearer of the NPP. He has issued a statement condemning governments because a judge has held Abronye and said that he should be remanded in prison custody. Because somebody has petitioned for the defacing of his billboard by an NPP activist, and the police are looking into the matter. But this same person had his wife as a subject of an accusation by a journalist, and that journalist was arrested and put before court. That matter remains in court. Did Dr. Bawumia offer a whimper in the Bobby Ansah case? When Bobby Ansah said something about his wife, he didn't do that. He has still not done it. That case is still in court. So if he is not prepared to stand up for Bobby Ansah's rights, why should anybody take it serious when he purports now to stand up for the rights of others? Because governments have changed. It is on that basis that I am questioning his sincerity in this particular instance. It does not appear to me that he is genuinely concerned about preserving free speech. His concern only arises if there is a particular government in power. That is all. Otherwise, he would have come out strongly. Look, when Abronye was first arrested, and the judge said that some people had more rights than others, I am on record. I am the government's chief spokesperson. I am on record to have publicly disagreed with the judge and demanded the immediate release of Abronye. I did that on behalf of government. Dr. Bawumia did not offer a whimper when an accusation against his wife led to the arrest of Bobby Ansah and a subsequent prosecution.
Minister, the NPP is also accusing government, in essence, the judges who proffer some of these judgments of doing the bidding of the NDC government.
It's a bogus accusation that makes no sense. Look, we have been in this country when the minority leader filed a case, and in a matter of 2 or 3 hours, the full panel of the Supreme Court was consistent. Nobody has had that preferential treatment in the history of Ghana. We have had instances where the stroke of the pen of the then Attorney General, judges sitting on cases were changed. There are instances where a judge ruled in the opening matter that he needed to reopen the case because of the controversy surrounding the Justice Onyonuga's presiding over the case. Within 12 weeks, that judge was transferred punitively to Kumasi for taking that action. Meanwhile, Onyonuga, who had publicly expressed support for the NPP, became the subject of a similar contestation by Dr. Puni to have him recuse himself or removed from the case. That never happened. So look, there's a litany of instances that I can cite of historical bias against the NDC by the Ghanaian judiciary. The NPP has not suffered a quarter of that. It is just that some of their members have misbehaved and the law has caught up. Why? Nana B, was he not a lawyer for the NPP terrorists who call themselves Delta Force, stormed a court and vandalized the court and released some NPP members standing trial? The judiciary gave them a slap on the wrist. They got a fine of 1,800 Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, when the Munchie spoke against judges, they were in prison for 4 months. So please, let nobody pretend that we don't have a memory of what has happened in the recent past. And this desperate attempt to make up for the historical bias we in the NDC have suffered cannot pass without commentary. We will scrutinize it and challenge it. But the point I'm making is that nobody in this government finds any satisfaction in having people who say anything taken on by courts and judges. But there is a history in this country which must be spoken to. Let those who are purporting suddenly to believe in free speech demonstrate similar chances taken in the past when under them people suffer such abuse.
Right.
Then we know that they are sincere, they are genuine, and we can discuss it.
Minister, thank you very much. Felix Kwakye Ofosu is the Minister of State in charge of Government Communications. Nana Boakye is still with me. He is the NPP's national organizer. Nana, you've listened to the response from government through its spokesperson. It has debunked the fact that you say government is probably behind these arrests.
No, interestingly, I know Felix is an ardent listener and a viewer of Newsfile. Recently, Samson Ladi Ainene mentioned on his show that just under 2 years, the NDC, they have operated on this oppressive loss far more than MPP's 8-year tenure. I didn't say it. So it means the record is there. It was Samson Ladi who said it. So, Felix, did you listen to Samson that in less than 2 years, you have used this repressive laws to incarcerate people for expressing their views? I didn't say it. And I know that you listen to Newsfile a lot. And we have never, in the history of this country, seen a judge who says that, oh, yes, in our Constitution, Article 17, all of us are supposed to be under the law. But in reality, some are above the law. And that, quoting Idi Amin, such a dictator, introducing such a dictator into our cherished democracy. We've never seen such a judge. In fact, and this judge is promoted to High Court as I speak. This judge who pronounced such bogus ruling, the same court 9, has been promoted by President Mahama. In fact, it was the same judge who gave the analogy of animal farm. Such a judge who could tear into pieces our Constitution. This person has been promoted simply because he again take the burden of government. So he's been promoted. He's now a High Court judge.
Okay. Henry,
now the point we are saying is that, look, we cannot be intimidated. We cannot be harassed. And you see, the attempt to lump all of these cases together will not watch. Under the NPP, we never had anybody saying that Dumswa is back.
Henry, you say that the NPP is going to embark on a massive demonstration against these arrests of your members. When is it happening?
Series of activities, including massive demonstrations, and again exposing this government to the international community that they are suppressing free speech. Under them, democracy is under siege. We have lined up series of activities. And I am even surprised that if this is the legacy President Mahama wants to leave behind, then I'm so sorry.
Henry.
If the legacy he wants to leave behind, that he wants to be known as the president who suppressed and oppressed free speech, then it's so sad.
Right. Henry Nana Boache, thank you very much. He's the NPP's national organizer. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. News Night is next.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Tonight, state agencies are coordinating a joint response over the arrest and detention of Asante North MP Kwame Ohene Frimpong in the Netherlands, an action reportedly orchestrated by the United States government on the basis of a bench warrant it issued for his arrest.
But the snippet of information we got from the security operatives who detained him was that there is a warrant that has been issued by the United States of America for his arrest.
We have details plus the revelation that Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga has flown to Netherlands to meet with the detained MP for Asante North.
The Honorable Ayariga, he was then also in transit. He was in London, actually traveling to Ghana. But he cut it short and had to travel to Schiphol to go meet him. So leader went to engage him for about 2 hours.
Also ahead, the Institute of Economic Affairs calls on government to reject a proposal by Goldfields Limited seeking a 20-year extension of the Takon mine as the current lease nears expiration.
Or extension, whatever they choose to call it, to be deeply inimical to Ghana's long-term economic and strategic interests.
Of details as the Institute advocates for the nationalization of the country's natural resources through strategic partnerships with key local firms to drive Ghana's development in business.
News at Scott Service data shows strong recovery of industry sector, pushing monthly GDP growth rate to record levels.
In sports,
Joe Paul and Saminu qualify for the 100-meter final of the African Senior Athletics Championships.
And a bit later, road contractors risk mass termination over failure to mobilize to side with Bogoso Prestia project among latest casualties.
This is the highway in the region. Who told him to stop?
No, I've not told him to stop.
So they are not on site. He doesn't show the commitment to do the work. So the chief executive activate the necessary processes to officially terminate.
The latest of these and many other stories are coming up in the next 60 minutes. Feel free to be a part of the show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Details shortly.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Attorney General's Office and Parliament's leadership are working together over the arrest of Asante Achim North MP Kwame Ohene Frimpong in the Netherlands. The state agencies are engaging Dutch authorities, seek details on the charges and secure consular access for the MP to manage the diplomatic and legal fallouts of the case while ensuring his rights in due process are upheld. It is now official that the arrest was executed on the basis of an international warrant reportedly issued by the USA.
The embattled legislator was arrested while transiting through Amsterdam on his way to the United Kingdom, where he was reportedly detained and interrogated before being taken into custody. According to Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, the warrant underpinning the arrest originates from the US, although he says parliamentary leadership has not yet been fully briefed on the specifics of the charges or the contents of the warrant.
He was on a private visit to the United Kingdom. He has a family, his children and wife live in the UK. They are in London. So as the chief whip, I can confirm that he does frequent there. But on this occasion, he was on another private visit to the UK. He was flying on a KLM flight. So naturally, the transit will be through Schiphol in Amsterdam. So it was in Amsterdam that he was stopped, questioned briefly, and detained. And this happened Sunday morning because they left Accra on a KLM flight Saturday evening. Normally the KLM flights, they leave here Saturday. They leave here in the evenings. So on Saturday he was on the KLM flight that transited and got to Schiphol around 5 in the morning. So through the transit processes, I think by 6:37, he was stopped, questioned, and has been detained since.
The big question is, why was he detained?
So we have interacted with him. He himself doesn't know. But the snippets of information we got from the security operatives who detained him was that there is a warrant that has been issued by the United States of America for his arrest. And so we've tried to get details of the basis for the issuance of the warrant. We still haven't received anything formal from the security operatives. There is a prosecutor in the matter based in The Hague. So as a step, we have also decided to get a lawyer to represent him. So there's a Ghanaian who is a Dutch-trained lawyer who is based in The Hague. So he's the one we have detailed in consultation with the Ghana's ambassador to The Hague to handle the matter. And so that's where we are for now.
Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo also disclosed that Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga has travelled to the Netherlands and has met and spoken with the MP while in custody as efforts intensify to manage the diplomatic and legal dimensions of the case.
I was the first person he called when he had the crisis. And then I also called my principal, Bono Ayariga. He was then also in transit. He was in London, actually traveling to Ghana. But he cut it short and had to travel to Schiphol to go meet him. So leader went to engage him for about 2 hours in the detention. So and then we got the foreign minister to also coordinate it. Then we got the ambassador, Ghana's ambassador to Hague, to actually lead the discussion. So all the critical people, including the Attorney General, who is also doing an opinion on some aspects of the matter. So the matters are being properly coordinated. We are hoping that whatever the reasons are such that it may not escalate the matter and he will be released to return home.
That's the Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo. Well, the saga has also sparked debate over whether the execution of the warrant abroad signals a lack of trust in Ghana's security institutions. Private legal practitioner Amanda Clinton notes that since the MP is a politically exposed person, foreign authorities may have been cautious about the risk of informing leakage. Persons and foreign authorities may have being cautious about the risk of information leakage had the warrant been processed locally.
The fact that he was arrested abroad is quite significant because it means it's an internationally coordinated investigation. Secondly, it also points to the fact that, do we as a country have the will to pursue politically exposed people and people within government? And if we don't, this is exactly the sort of pushback we get. It absolutely sends a signal to this government and to any government that will take place that international law enforcement perhaps did not trust the Ghanaian government enough to share information that they should have. Had they trusted them, we would have seen something like an extradition. But when you have somebody called a politically exposed person or someone in government, international law enforcement will say, well, if I share this with national security, if I share this with Yoko, if I share this with different departments, will that information be compromised? Will it spoil our investigation? And will it mean the person is put on notice so they don't get on a flight? And so what it indicates to me is that he wasn't put on notice per se. He got
Ordinarily, will they have put him on notice?
No, if our agencies were put on notice,
okay.
Quite sadly, what tends to happen is if our agencies were put on notice, some are government appointees and some would just share that information and it would filter down to a politically exposed person or someone in government. That is the fear from international agencies.
But Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo insists such claims are misleading and unfounded.
Brought to the notice of the security agencies and whether indeed nothing was heard about it. So if you simply say that they did this because they don't trust our security agencies, it's most unacceptable. And those comments like that should not be coming from such high-ranking, highly regarded people with opinion in this country. So that is what I think that we should take note of.
Well, meanwhile, the man Ohene Kwame Frimpong, unseated from Parliament, Andy Appiah says the MP must be afforded his full right in taking through the process. He is warning against unsubstantiated allegations and claims.
We are told that there is such an arrest and detention at this present time, and the international law says that you cannot crucify somebody when you have not heard his side of the story. So he is deemed to be innocent until proven guilty. And that we expect due process to go through and let us see the results of due process. And at the end of the day, when he is given the opportunity to also establish his case and a ruling comes thereon, then we can rely on the ruling and say who is guilty and who is not. But for now, let us not be in a hurry to crucify him. And let us also not be in a hurry to accept one side of the evidence and leave the other side. And let us also uphold the tenets of rule of law, and let's also respect fundamental human rights, and let us also respect the fact that Oteram Partem rule, give a hearing to all parties, is also an issue. At the end of the day, a result worthy of reliance and worthy of implementation. At that point, then the procedural game will start. The net effect of the decision is that it will trigger some legal processes, and the legal processes will give us answers and answers that will satisfy the whims of the populace. So for now, it is too early in the day to sacrifice. I will not sacrifice him. I will not also prosecute him in my mind, and I will also not defend, because I'm not a defense lawyer, but I will rely on due process.
That's Andy Appiah. He is a former NPP MP for Asante Achim North. He was unseated by the independent MP Ohene Kwame Frimpong, who has been detained in the Netherlands. A member of our Legal Affairs Desk and Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, is joining me with more on this. Kweku, a few months ago, there was a major controversy about the supposed arrest of the MP in the US. At the time, though, he denied any such arrest. Do we know of any connection to that case?
Well, Ken, yes, like you said, a few months ago, not very long ago, there were rumors rife on social media in particular that a member of parliament for Asante Ashim North had been arrested in the US in connection with what at the time was said to be drug dealings, fraud, and other things. But we know that subsequent to these rumors, and these rumors did not swirl around for quite some time, there were no confirmation. The member of parliament himself did make a video at the time where he was in the comfort of a bed. He spoke to the allegations and spoke to how certain people were excited about those claims that had been made that he had been arrested, and completely dissociated himself from any such entanglements, be it fraud or any illegal dealings in narcotics or anything of the sort. And at the time explained that he was always focused on delivering on the mandate that the people of the Asante Achim North had given him. There was nothing untoward that he had done, and he was focused entirely on his duty. And so since this arrest happened and Parliament officially confirmed it, there have been people who have been seeking to draw linkages between the two. But just like Roxanne Nelson, the firm of course, said, we do not yet have a detail of the packet that includes the warrants that was issued by the United States government, which has ultimately led to the arrest of the member of parliament. And so it is very early days yet for anyone to draw linkages between that supposed arrest, which we know at the time turned out to be false, because the member of parliament did respond forcefully to that. He also showed up in parliament. Right? So obviously he had not been arrested, and this particular arrest that had happened. But we expect in the coming days that we'll get some results and some information on this. I should add, Kenneth, finally, that this morning we reached out to Ghana's embassy in the Netherlands to try and get some understanding of what was happening, especially since we learned that the embassy had been detailed to work together with the member of parliament in detention and his legal team over there. We did reach them. They gave us a response that they have something, but they are unwilling to give it out to us as journalists, and they're relaying all the information they have to the foreign ministry in Accra, the headquarters, and they are the ones who speak to it. And we have been making contacts with the foreign ministry to try and get something on what exactly they've been learning officially on what exactly has led to the arrest and detention of Ghana's member of parliament in Netherlands on behalf of the U.S.
Interesting. And for those who do not really know Ohene Kwame Frimpong, who is he?
Well, Ohene Kwame Frimpong is the first member of parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency in the Ashanti region. In fact, he contested as an independent candidate in the 2024 election, and he was racing against the man whose voice you played moments ago, Andy Appiah, who at the time was thought of as a very dominant figure within the politics of the Ashanti region, but also within the then majority NPP caucus in parliament. And so it turned out a bit strange that Ohene Kwame Frimpong defeated Andy Appiah. And in fact, he did defeat him roundly and very comfortably. And since then, went to parliament. And contrary to the expectation of a lot of people, this is a member of parliament in the Ashanti region, the hotbed of the new Patriotic Party. When he entered parliament, he decided to caucus with the majority, which is the NDC side in parliament, and he explained that it was because he wanted to serve his constituents. And he did believe that being the government in power, the NDC had something to offer him and his constituents, and that is why he decided to caucus with them. And in fact, on a couple of occasions that he has spoken on the floor of parliament, he always speaks Twi. In fact, it's not that he cannot speak English. In fact, he's very fluent in English for those who have interacted with him. But he always speaks Twi first on the floor of parliament. In fact, in the last few years, we did a story of how he was the first member of parliament to have spoken Twi on the floor of parliament from start to finish. However, given the rules of the House, If you speak Tree, you must translate everything you said. And so that has been his MO. Whenever he speaks on the floor of the House, he speaks Tree, then he will translate in English because he says he wants to communicate directly to his people. He's also known to be the brother of rapper and musician Medical. And so he had quite some ties, both in the entertainment industry as well as the political industry as well, right before this major development story in his life, Ken.
Kweku Asante is our resident parliamentary affairs correspondent and also a member of our legal affairs desk. Thank you, Kweku. You're still listening to News 9 here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. We're also live across our affiliates in the country, and also joining the conversation this evening is Appiah. He's a professor of international law at the University of Ghana. Professor Appiah, welcome to the program. This issue has become a bit dicey. In one breath, we're hearing one of your colleague lawyers saying that the authorities in the United States may have kept the information secret from Ghanaians because of trust issues. Do you believe that?
Thanks for having me. Well, I don't know how I can answer that, but the bottom line is that I've been asking myself similar question, but I don't know if the answer is the same as my colleague put it. The bottom line is that there are two questions here. One is about the fact that the person holds a diplomatic passport, and then the other is the issue of extradition. Why is it that the person the extradition process was not initiated by the U.S. as it has done in a number of cases, and there are even some extradition cases pending right now between the U.S. and Ghana. The question is, why didn't Ghana or the U.S. go through that route in this situation in dealing with this particular person? Then the second is the person was holding a diplomatic passport. So should the person be arrested when the person is holding a diplomatic passport? That issue is also not clear, or I cannot answer entirely because there are different diplomatic passports that can be issued. I don't know which particular one he's holding. Otherwise, if he's holding what I'll call a full or proper diplomatic passport, then he'll be immune from arrest in this particular context, unless the Ghana government would have waived that immunity for him to be arrested. So we are yet to know what kind of diplomatic passport he was holding. But in any case, it's also indicated, I think one of the members of parliament indicated that he was on a private mission or going on a private trip. So in that case, the diplomatic passports may not apply to him if he's on a course of his own. So there are some information we do not have to allow us to be able to really answer the questions as to why he was arrested at the airport in the Netherlands.
I spoke to the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, a while ago, and he tells me that he was the first person that the embattled MP contacted when he was arrested. But he says that till now, they have not proffered any charge against him. Is it even legal for them to detain him in the Netherlands without knowing the reason why?
There will be certainly some charges that have been preferred against him, but they may not be willing to expose it yet. There should be a basis for his arrest. Otherwise, the Netherlands government security officials may not have arrested him. And I also understand there is Interpol connected to this. Interpol will never, if that is true anyway, Interpol will never take any such involvement in this matter if there is no charges that have been preferred against the person.
Mr. Appiah, Gemma here. At this point, what can the Ghanaian authorities do to secure his release, at least?
Well, under international law, there is a particular law that deals with on consular relations. That if your citizen is arrested anywhere, the citizen is entitled to at least some form of legal advice. And so the government of Ghana is supposed to make sure that he has access to a lawyer, for the lawyer to get to the bottom of the matter so that some of the questions that we are asking and we don't have answers, he or she will be able to get to understand the full remit of the facts and to see why the person has been arrested, whether there's a justification for the arrest, and if not, what the government or his lawyer can do to ensure that at least he is released from custody, allowed to return home or to continue on his journey, and then the proper steps taken to ensure that justice is served in this particular case.
Kwejo Appiah, thank you very much. He's a professor of international law at the University of Ghana and still here on Newsnight.
The Institute of Economic Affairs has called for the outright rejection of a proposal by Goldfields Limited seeking a 20-year extension of its Takwa mine lease. According to the Institute, despite operating in Ghana for decades, the company has failed to contribute meaningfully to the development of its operational communities in the country at large. Goldfields Limited is seeking a renewal as its current mining lease approaches expiration in April 2027. However, speaking at a press conference in Accra, former Chief Justice and key member of the Institute, Sophia Kofo, insisted that the government must reject the proposal and instead consider handing the concession to a local firm.
The Institute of Economic Affairs has noted with profound concern recent statements by the Chief Executive of Goldfields Limited, Mr. Mike Fraser, indicating that his company has formally applied for a 20-year extension of its current mining lease at the Takwa mines, which expires in April 2027. And he is now very actively engaging key government officials in pursuit of such approval. We are equally aware of attempts by Goldfields Limited to court the support of traditional authorities in Takwa and its environs for this proposed extension. The IEA considers the requested lease renewal or extension, whatever they choose to call it, to be deeply inimical to Ghana's long-term economic and strategic interests.
Well, she also noted that despite decades of mining activities in the area, the Takwa enclave continues to battle deprivation, a situation she says strongly justifies the institution's position.
The operations of Goldfields in Takwa exemplify very, very glaringly the enduring consequences of extractive concession arrangements that overwhelmingly favor foreign investor corporations at the expense of host communities and the national economy. After more than 3 decades of mining activity in Takwa, many communities within the enclave continue to grapple with deteriorated roads, inadequate healthcare infrastructure, limited educational facilities, and widespread socioeconomic deprivation, including rampant unemployment and underemployment of youth. While local residents bear the severe environmental and social costs associated with large-scale mining, the overwhelming economic benefits are exported abroad.
On his part, former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, argued that the benefits of rejecting the extension of the lease outweigh that of disadvantages.
We cannot just beat these people to the game if we don't own our natural resources, and that they will not develop our country for us. In fact, that is not their intention. Merely making profit is what they come for. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying that there's a need for a new paradigm way beyond what we have known over the years. We don't have to cancel any contract. The contract has become expired. It is of no effect. The lawyers will say it is odious. It's of no consequence. Should we go tell them we want you to come back for 20 years and then start operating this again. We have to own it. It's already ours. If we don't give it away, it's not gone.
Yeah. You heard former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay. Let's go to the phone line and speak to Patrick Stevenson, Country Manager, Natural Resource Governance Institute. Welcome to Newsnight. We've heard the concerns by the IEA and the call for a local firm to be giving the Tarkwa mine. Per your expertise, do we have a firm like that in Ghana that has the capacity, the resources to take up the Tarkwa mine?
Yeah, so I think a number of things are important to put in context here. One, it's not a crime for a company that has mineral license to, as it were, write officially to government to re-engage on the possibility of a renewal of the license. I think that if you look at the Minerals and Mining Act, specifically in Section 44, there's a provision for the process for the renewal of the mining lease if it's expiring. So I think that, the first thing to get out of the blocks is the company officially writing to government really has committed no offense. Again, it is important to also acknowledge that I think overwhelmingly across the globe today, the questions that are being asked is for countries in the global south to take an active part in our mineral value chain. So Ghana is no exception. If you've had companies mining in this country for 100 or 150 years, and in some cases, some of these agreements came under conditions that, were almost extractive in nature, right? The country did not, have the right legislative frameworks to enable us to negotiate properly what we could have gotten from these. Then it is only a consequence of that if an opportunity for renewal comes, the country gets the opportunity to renegotiate these terms. The renegotiation is purely a commercial question. The color of who runs the entity becomes a bit secondary, in my opinion. However, having said that, I think the question of ownership is one that, we have been trumpeting for a long time now. Things around local content development, local ownership are questions that ought to be answered. And I think some of those are being answered under the current policy architecture of the minerals and mining value chain as we speak today, so that whether it's on the skill development side, whether it's on the actual revenue generation side, whether it's on the actual output generation side, the country benefits. What I struggle with is the connection between the ownership and then some of the developmental issues that have been sort of outlined in the presentation that I had from the IEA. Whether it is a Ghanaian that is running, the mine, or is a foreign company that is running the mine, those developmental objectives have to be undertaken, and that usually is a function of the governance architecture and the optimal use of the revenues that the state gets from the minerals value chain. That's a function of that. So if the governance architecture is problematic, it is immaterial what the license says or who owns the license. You may have companies do business there, the communities are still not going to develop. There are several mines in this country in different, communities that are run by Ghanaian mines, Ghanaian owners, and you may see similar developments in there. So I guess the nexus between what truly happens to the real development, whether it is education, ensuring environmental safeguards are there, those are a question of the broader governance architecture of the country.
So, Patrick, let me ask this question. If a mining firm has the license to operate within an enclave, is that not part of its responsibility to ensure that that area is developed?
So that, again, like I did say, is a question of governance. So the responsibility is going to be something that you would agree on in terms of what the company needs to do. That goes into the obligations of the company in the license or the lease. So absent any express provision in the lease, those demands cannot be made. However, within the context of the current, governance conversations about the responsibilities of companies, some companies may get out of their way to do some corporate social responsibility and obtain the social capital for them to continue to operate. It will mean that they strictly abide by environmental standards, for example, that is in their lease agreements, and make sure they don't pollute the environment. If it is a question of jobs and local content provisions are there for them to abide by, they have to abide by these provisions. And these, I should say, apply to whether they are foreign companies or local companies. I don't think that distinction necessarily sits there. Where the real worry is, where our resources are managed by foreign companies, is more often than not capital flight. So where, the return on investments and these returns have to get out of the country in dollar terms, that has negative implications. Where there's an
what about the idea that if the mining firm is locally owned, the firm would have that responsibility by virtue of the fact that they are one of us to develop the area that they are mining from?
So that responsibility, again, is a responsibility that must be conferred. Even if it's a domestic company, it's a responsibility that must be conferred on them by law. The fact that you shouldn't expect that that responsibility of the company is going to happen by mere benevolence, right? So the governance architecture for the mineral sector must necessarily have a provision that says whether you're a foreign company or a local company, once you have a license, you operate, there's a certain responsibility and requirement of you to do X, Y, Z. Absent that, it could be a foreign company, it could be a domestic company, and still will not abide by the need to do what is right. What I hear you say, which I think in some cases may reflect the ideas articulated by the IEA, is the fact that if the shareholder is Ghanaian, we will retain value in the country. If the shareholder is Ghanaian, he may have a bit more connection to the country and the need to do right. But that need to do right is very speculative at this point. There's no law that is compelling, for example, the current domestic owners of mines to do anything different than what the foreign owners of mines in this country have to do. And for me, I think this gives us an opportunity to recalibrate, because that lease would have come at a time and under certain legislation, and that legislation must have outlived its essence as it is today. And so the real conversation is, what are those provisions that must go into a new agreement for operating that mine that delivers value for Ghanaians? That's the first question that has got to be answered. Then off the back of that, we consider the possibility of owning it. The ownership we keep talking about that I've heard presumes that somehow it's the Ghana government that is going to own it.
Patrick, because of time, very briefly, I'm going back to my first question. Do we have the capacity? Do local firms have the capacity to own such a mine?
If the last couple of experiences is anything to go by, I mean, we have laws in this country that suggested, for example, that companies should own their mines, but we should have domestic, operators essentially doing the mining activities for them. And we know a number of companies that have built capacity in that regard, that at least I have had the opportunity in my lifetime to see. The current decisions by the government that we have seen for some of the leases, some of which are currently discussed publicly today, equally tend to suggest that there are a couple of local companies that may have capacity too. Again, the adequacy of those are subject matter that we perhaps may have to explore over the next 1 year. So if you ask me, do we have companies that have capacity? I would assume that given the current policy decisions that have been made by government, there is sufficient capacity domestically to do that, given that some of the companies have been providing services to existing mines over the last couple of years.
Thank you very much. Patrick Stevenson is Country Manager at Natural Resource Governance Institute.
Pakwesi Shandoff is the Director of Communications with the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. He's also joining the conversation this evening. Pakwesi, what is government's current position on Goldfields Limited's request for a 20-year extension of the Takwa mine lease?
Well, thank you very much, Ken, and it's a privilege to be part of this all-important conversation. As you would rightly know, this is a proposition that has just come to the table, and for the fact that it's a recent and fresh development, government would have to sit to, as it were, review the request in question, and then subsequent to that review process, a determination will be made in that particular respect. Indeed, the Sector Minister, Honorable Mokofibo, has taken note of the request, and so in tandem with routine protocols, what would be done is that the operations during the years under review, where their lease was very active, would be thoroughly examined, will be examined against compliance with the relevant mining rules and regulations. If there are any issues for which reason their request should not be assented to, all of those will be put out in due course. But to the substantive conversation, I mean, in connection with the presser or the event by the IEA and their cause, asking that government, takes hold of the mine, we want to say that indeed it is the stance of government that local content has to be deeply encouraged, and that is why much recently you would see that government has made certain decisions that reflects that. So local content is simply a priority to the government. We want to get into a dispensation and an arena where locals would be in charge of our mining establishments. Because over the years, Ken, what have we seen? Foreign companies, take over. There is profit repatriation. We are not able to benefit the full length of our own endowed resources. And so I'm sure that when it comes to the final determination of their request, the concern for local content would be heavily considered in the final determination of the matter.
Pakwesi Shando, thank you very much. He's the Director of Communications at the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Sam Bannerman in the USA says free speech doesn't mean you can say or publish something you cannot substantiate. Gyasi from Sakumono says, as Nana B has threatened to demonstrate to show the international community how low citizens' rights to free expression have sank, I urge them to demonstrate at the Netherlands and US embassies, just as they do here whenever a member of their party is arrested. Musa Abatwa in Aswasi in Kumasi says the arrest and detention of a Guinean legislator is concerning, but since the full details are not yet public, we should avoid speculation and wait for official information. Matters like this can affect Ghana's international reputation, so it is important for due process to be followed and for everyone to remain cautious in their commentary. Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. We will be reading the rest of them as the news goes on. It's not time for business. George is here with the latest.
Well, Kenneth, coming up, oil marketing companies push for government to quickly state position over extension of policy aimed at cushioning consumers from rising prices of crude oil. New statistical service data shows strong recovery of industry sector, pushing monthly GDP growth rate to record levels. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Mappe. Et mappé. Hey, Asamo. French idiot. This is midi croissant.
Meet Ajah. She makes sobolone in a small shop in Kaswa. She's going places with MTN Ejumapa. Now, she's learning French kakra to teach her francophone customers indigenous recipes.
Results.
My boy.
Whoa. She's learning Japanese too? Watash. What? If you're a woman with a small business, join MTN Ejumapa today by dialing *5060# and enjoy 150 megabytes data, a lifestyle bundle for social media, free MTN to MTN calls every Monday, and an insurance cover. You will also gain access to expert training, discounts on digital tools, and financial support to grow the business of your dreams. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast, University Book Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Center Point Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, CEOs. Ghana's foremost business platform marks 10 years of leadership impact. Join the 10th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo on Thursday, 28th May 2026 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Kempinski Hotel Accra. The summit is themed accelerating Ghana's economic transformation, driving bold reforms through leadership, technology, and industrialization. Tagline: from vision to action. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, will attend as special guest of honor and officially launch the CEO Government Compact 2026. Highlights include presidential CEO dialogue, masterclasses, panels, brand expo, CEO profiles, networking. Registered now at GhanaCEOSummit.com. Call 054-639-1970 or email info@GhanaCEOSummit.com. Powered by CEO Network Ghana in partnership with Deloitte, PwC, EY, GIPC, University of Ghana, Media General, and the Multimedia Group. The 10th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo, a decade of leadership impact. T&C apply.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number one. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start. Every mosquito started run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, oil marketing companies are asking the government to quickly come out with its position on extension of policy aimed at cushioning consumers of petroleum products from rising prices of crude oil. The policy to absorb a fraction of the price of fuel prices actually took office a month ago and is due to expire this Friday. However, government is yet to announce an extension of the policy despite rising crude prices. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Rivison upon, however, said the silence is not helping their business and pricing of petroleum products.
We've told the government what to do, but it seems the government won't do what it knows best. When it comes to the extension or not extending it, we as oil marketing companies are saying it. It needs not to be delayed. Today is 13th, tomorrow is 14th. We want to know what to do by end of business tomorrow, because these kind of decisions affect our operations, decision making and liftings. So government, please, whether you are extending it or not, just come and tell us. Thanks to NPA. Today, the NPA has declared paying my members for the deficient in the debt, that has arisen from the discount the government gave on diesel. And I expect payment to go by Friday to my oil marketing companies and LPG, of course, oil marketing companies, so that, it doesn't bring financial burden on them. That is what I will look out for as an industry coordinator or CEO of POMAC.
Chief Executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Rivison Upon. Industry sector has picked up strongly in terms of economic activities for the second month of this year. The sector, which had been growing under 3% last year, is now expanding by almost 10%. Manufacturing, electricity, and mining aided this growth. This development actually helped GDP growth rate for February to reach record levels of 7.7%. Dr. Hassan Idrisu is government statistician and has been highlighting the contribution of other sectors to this turnaround.
These February results provide an important early indication that Ghana's economy is maintaining positive momentum in the first quarter of 2026. The MEC therefore gives us useful signals ahead of the official quarter 1 2026 GDP estimates to be released in June. Overall, the key message is clear. Ghana's economy continued to expand in February 2026, with industry and services driving much of the growth, while agriculture maintained moderate expansion. At the Ghana Statistical Service, we remain committed to producing timely, accurate, relevant, and credible statistics to support evidence-based decision-making for national development.
Government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs is pushing for a total review of all agreements covering the country's natural resources due for renewal. The Institute argues that the past agreement covering some critical sectors has not been beneficial to the economy. Answering questions from journalists at the news conference today, former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, says the time has come to take a second look at all these agreements.
It doesn't matter what particular mineral it is, whether it is gold or oil. The most important thing is that we are saying the old paradigm whereby the Western countries, that is people from there, took our mineral resources away and paid us royalties. It is a colonial heritage and we eschew it. So if this is what the people in Dubai did, they will not be there as we see them now. So as for us, don't we want anything good? That is the basis of our argument. And we say the time has come for us to change this old-timed colonial paradigm. And that is very, very clear. So it cuts across. We are not against a particular company. We are against the system which prevents our people from getting their due, from getting the full benefit of that which belongs to them, so that we are stuck with poverty, misery, and disease. And people can't really do well in the hospitals.
Professor Michael Quay is a former Speaker of Parliament, a fellow of the Institute of Economic Affairs. Now, MTN Ghana is pushing businesses to urgently adopt practical digital tools and artificial intelligence solutions to remain competitive in a rapid changing market environment. Speaking at the MTN Ghana Digital Transformation Conference, Chief Enterprise Business Officer at MTN, Angela Mensapoku, said the company is focused on helping businesses to use affordable digital platforms to expand their operations.
For MTN, we have always believed that nobody should be digitally left behind. We believe in impacting our communities, large, small, rural, urban. We're actually going out into rural Ghana through the foundation, consumer business, and the SME segment. So we have digital training, capacity building that we're doing. For us, it's about being a boss where you are and making sure you're using the tools to drive your business beyond the shores of Ghana. It's understanding that the world is changing when it comes to all things marketing, not just the fact that we need to change, it's the fact that there is an urgency to change. Because if we do not do it, we will be left behind.
Angela Mensah-Poku is Chief Enterprise Business Officer at MTN Ghana. To the stock market, Access Bank led the pack in terms of companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange that recorded some losses at the end of trading. The bank lost 3 Ghana cedis and is now worth 27 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. Telecom giant MTN also lost 19 pesos and is now worth 6 Ghana cedis, 52 pesos. In terms of returns on the Ghana Stock Exchange, if you have invested from the beginning of the year, stands at more than 73%. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And the Athletics Championship. I see people selling pure water and plantain chips in the stands.
Why are you so surprised?
I saw the All African Games, and I thought this even being a smaller event in terms of organization, it will be more easier.
Well, I saw it coming.
He said he was having an interview at the mixed zone and saw a kebab seller just passing by. Can you imagine? And disappointment for Ghana because our sprinters Joseph Polamwe and Abdul Rashid Saminu narrowly missed out on the podium finish in the men's 100-meter finals at the ongoing African Senior Athletics Championships. Now, the duo booked places in the final after impressive performances in their respective heats earlier this afternoon. In the final held later today, which was just at 6:40, I guess, Joseph Polamwa, he finished 4th with a time of 10.32 seconds, while Abdul Rashid Saminu also came in 6th, also clocking 10.32 seconds. And that's how our athletes performed in the final. And if you go through social media, a lot of people are disappointed because they were expecting much more from them. Especially Polamwa and Abdul Rashid.
You see, when I say the truth, sometimes most of you don't want to listen to me. I say that it's the hope that kills you. You see, as you stand there right now, if you're not expecting 100,000 cities from Kevin, okay,
it doesn't come, I'll be disappointed.
Tomorrow, and it doesn't come, you'll never be disappointed. But you only get disappointed when you are expecting something. It's always the hope that kills us.
I have to live with that. So that's it for sports, Kenneth.
Thank you very much. Isa Taminu from Boko says, why is the partisan Dr. Bawumia not equally condemning the MP's arrest and detention just as he remained silent in the past? This selective and partisan conduct makes him more suitable for the position of NPP chairman rather than seeking to become a president. Nana Ekuyamuabuatin from Ablekuma Central says, I can bet you that if U.S. government had communicated it to the Ghanaian government about their intentions to arrest and extradite the MP for Asante Achim North, this government would have shielded him. Once he is caught up in the web, the law must work. Samuel says the NPP is not being strategic in their condemnation of the ruling NDC. Nana Boachi should know that after their very abysmal performance in government, Ghanaians are not prepared to listen to them now. Charles from Legon says, why is it that the United States government can arrest a Ghanaian who commits an offense in the U.S., but the government of Ghana cannot arrest its own citizens? Kenneth Uriata, who is wanted in Ghana, why hasn't he not been arrested? Matilda Ama from Keta says, when we talk about development projects in Ghana, credit should go to the current NDC government and President John Mahama. Looking at the direction the country is taking, there is hope and assurance that Ghana will surely be rebuilt. And this one also from Musa Abatwa in Asawasi says the arrest and detention of a Ghanaian legislator is concerning, but since the full details are not yet public, we should avoid speculation and wait for official information. Matters like this can affect Ghana's international image, so it is important for due process to be followed and for everyone to remain cautious in their commentary. That's it for News 9 this evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma Appiah.
Right after this, though, is Strong and Sassy, and Akofa is here in the studio. Akofa, what are we talking about this evening?
Yes, so we had Mother's Day just last weekend, and while we're having the conversation, our pre-Mother's Day conversation, actually, a few of our listeners shared some concerns that a lot of people have been having regarding the feeling that we leave out certain people who don't have biological children, but they are mother figures, and then we did say that it was a conversation that we're looking at. And so today we have a psychologist joining in to talk about the aftermath of Mother's Day, the emotional triggers for women without children. So you might want to stay for